Roll call?
Okay. Margie Ferris, here. Carla Orlando.
Here.
Joe Bosey.
Here.
Sherry Shapila.
Here.
Bonnie McInerney. Absent. And Brian Treppa is also absent.
Okay, approval, any amendments to today's agenda? If not,
I motion to approve.
A second.
okay. Approval of the minutes from the June 19th, 2024.
Oh, hang on. You need to vote on that motion.
Okay, let's all vote on approval of the agenda. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Approval of the minutes from June 19th, 2024. Does anybody have any revisions?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
I second that.
Call to approval on that?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, the Clay Township Zoning Board of Appeals preface. The Clay Township Zoning Board of Appeals primarily addresses practical difficulty based on lot size, location, shape, or contour and/or location of existing buildings. We are guided by Section 27.05 of Ordinance 126. There are 5 members on the ZPA. 4 people are here. 3 members constitute a quorum. Each appeal before the ZBA will be first have a public hearing, at which time the appellate will first present his or her case, and then any public comment regarding that issue will follow. During this time, members of the board may ask questions of clarification. If a particular point gets belabored, the chairman has the right to limit comments. When the public hearing is closed, the board will move onto the deliberation phase of the case before us. If the appellate should disagree with the board's decision, he or she has the right to take it to circuit court within 30 days after the minutes have been approved. When your appeal hearing has concluded, you are welcome to leave or stay as you wish. Okay, new business. JZBA 2024-008, 8610 Anchor Bay Drive. Do we have someone from 8610 Anchor Bay Drive?
Yes.
Please step to the podium, name and address.
Hi, my name is Mike Stevenson. I live at 8390 Morrow Road, Clay Township. And I'm actually the contractor that is proposing to do this project. Basically, we're looking for 4 variances due to, the difficulty with the lots on Anchor Bay Drive. And if it's okay, I would like to approach the board with a couple packets to help me explain. Do you all have like a good plan like this one? Okay, you probably don't need that one then. So, as far as what we're looking for is, there's a road setback that we're trying to get into a little bit, and then the lot coverage exceeding 30%, and then the 8-foot ceiling on the second floor, and I forgot the other one.
Extends into adjusted street side,
Your mean height.
exceeds 30%.
Yeah, the mean height, okay, yep. So, first off, I'd just like to start by saying, like, the first page of the packet here is what we're replacing. Obviously, a dilapidated boathouse, garage, and lean-to. Okay, so we're getting rid of that. The second picture shows the street, with the adjacent buildings to it, showing basically the same structures that we're looking to build, with the neighbors having them. And these include like garages and boat wells with 8-foot ceilings in the top. Right along, there's like 3 right in a row there.
Well, we don't care what's next door. We want your practical difficulty on this lot, but you can sit down now and we'll open up for public comment.
Well, no,
You could sit down for a minute and then we'll open up public comment, then you can come back with your list of why you want this.
okay.
Reasons are here shortly. Not because the neighbors have it. We're opening up the public comment for 8610 Anchor Bay Drive. Is there anybody here to talk about that? Public comment? Anybody want to talk about 8610? Okay. Public comments closed for 8610. Did we have any letters or anything, or no?
I didn't see that.
Okay. All right, come back up and start with the first variance, the road, and then go to the,
Okay, so
why
the-
this thing's 43%. And then we can go to the following two.
Okay, so if
Give
you
us
could,
some good explanation why the practical difficulty in your design for this lot, you're having this issue.
okay. So for the front setback, if you look at the 4th page, the zoomed in satellite view, you'll notice that the line of the buildings, and the outline one in green is our lot. And then the building is the existing building, obviously. The garage part, we're looking to keep at that point. And then the boathouse, we're actually going to pull that back to even with the adjacent boathouse. So, and then we also did take this existing one and we did shrink it widthwise to get our 3-foot setbacks too of the existing building, okay? So, I mean, as you all know, like going down the road, the front setbacks are back and forth like crazy, but this one, they line up pretty good in this area. And then there's one, like a few doors to the left that's kind of even way more up than us. But we did meet with Gary and adjust it to where we could try to get it closer into it. And the reason why, I want the little jog is because we need the depth for the garage for the customer. And then also the aesthetics. So we're trying to match the house, which is on the last page of the packet, on the other side of the street. So it's just kind of like a aesthetic thing, as well as like they need the depth of it. And, even driving down the road, it doesn't protrude out, like it just all flows, So I don't think we're asking too much there.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you're saying they need the depth, what do they need the depth for? So, I mean, when I pull my car in the garage, it's a standard garage size, right? So what's, is there a bigger boat going in there? What is happening that they need the extra?
Well, they do have a long boat trailer that they're trying to fit in there too. So, and I don't feel it's too deep. We're asking for like 31 feet from front to back for the garage itself, and we're trying to leave like a 5-foot boardwalk in the back before the water. So that's what we would like the depth for.
So the next Anybody
You want me to
else
go to the
have
next?
anything
Yeah, go on to the next one.
Okay. So on the third page of the packet, can you please look at that, which just shows the zoomed out view of the lot, in respect to the other ones? So you'll notice that, like, where they're at, there's kind of like a bottleneck with the water that comes in and kind of pinches their lot in, to where they don't have much of a backyard. So their house is not particularly big, with their footprint. It's just the lay of the land makes their lot covered up, more than like the neighbors down the road, where you can see where the lots jet out, into the water more. So, I mean,
That's their seawall, and then the lake kind of bows there, you're saying?
yeah, yep. So, I mean, basically, that's a big reason why, like, the house is covering, the lot, maybe a little bit more than others, but I know there's plenty that are covering more than this one down that road too. Just a difficult road to, like, enforce every ordinance on. So, that's kind of the lot coverage explanation I have. The other side of the road kind of bottlenecks a little bit too. We're kind of pinched there, but we're not asking for anything different than what the neighbors have. So, and the reason I say neighbors is, it conforms to what the neighborhood already has. So we're not asking for anything different. So, and then as far as the height variance goes, after I met with Gary, we did shrink the height of the actual garage ceiling a foot. And then, I do have pretty much the lowest pitch you can put on a roof on this thing too, which is a 412. So, it's, looking at, picture number 2, it won't even be as high as those. So, those are probably more like a 612 pitch. The other one down is probably a 7, and we're at a 4. So, and our eave should be pretty much the same eave height as those. And then, with the 8-foot ceiling, we're just looking for the 8-foot ceiling because, like, they've got a lot of stuff to store, and they want to be able to use that space to the best of their ability. They're spending a lot of money on this place, and it's not a very big area up there, but they could really use the extra height there. And like I said, again, it won't go over the height of what's already next to them in that stretch.
How
So-
big's the area, you said?
I'm sorry?
What's the area that's 8 foot is?
The area is about 30 by 24.
Is there a proposed bathroom in there?
Yeah, there is a proposed bathroom on the first floor.
Nothing's upstairs,
Nope,
or in this 8-foot ceiling?
nope,
There won't be.
nope.
Gary, you want to come up and make any comments on Anchor Bay Drive since you're so familiar with it, or?
You have some specific questions that we have to ask.
Okay. Is there anything out of the ordinary with this lot that's more,
Without a doubt, it is one of the smaller lots on Anchor Bay Drive. So that's why we've absolutely exceeded the 30% coverage allowed elsewhere. But there are some things, just to speak on the roadside setbacks. If we're familiar with that road, we know that we can't accomplish any setbacks, that meet our ordinances anyways. So something that I try to do is line the structures up, and been pretty successful with that. By lining them up, at least no one's sticking out farther than the other. They are proposing the one portion of this, the garage portion, to jettison out 2 or 3 feet, which I would love to see that be pushed back. Other than that, I mean, it's the standard request, I guess, asking for habitable space on the second floor.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Gary.
So is that a problem, Mike, then, keeping it in line with the rest of the, because those structures are pretty big next door as well, and it does kind of jet out in front of them, right? It's going to be closer to the street?
It will be like, it will be
Couple feet?
about 2'6" closer, yep.
Right.
But remember though, the structure that's there, like that entire one is like that far up. So, like,
Right, you mean the existing one?
the existing
Yeah, I know,
structure.
when I was there, I could see that
Yeah.
it definitely is closer
Yeah,
to the
so-
street than the rest, yeah.
Yep, so, I mean,
But you're tearing that down, right?
yeah. Yep,
So if you're tearing it down, can't you line them up, since you did point to the neighbors a few times?
I can, it's just hard to, because I don't feel like it's not, I don't feel like it's out too much, because, like, just, 3 doors down, there's one that's like 11. So they got to build 11 feet close to the road, and then, we're over like, we're about 13'6", 13'8" off the road, And then, and I know you guys probably don't care about Colony Drive, but they do, both roads kind of are similar sometimes in these builds. Like, the boathouses all along Colony Drive are all 10 foot off the curb. Like almost all of them. You go down there, you measure off that curb, they're 10 feet. Now, I know this is a different road,
I
but
think those are all in line, aren't they?
a lot of them are, and some of them are back than that. But, when you go down like Anchor Bay Drive, though, I mean,
I know.
It's a lot easier to get down Colony than it is down Anchor Bay Drive.
yeah,
It's like that street's so tight.
yep.
That's
So,
the problem with that street.
And then, can we talk about the height on the second floor? So, if it's not necessarily being built for living space eventually, even with the bathroom downstairs, and it's, you said 20 by 32?
it's 30 by like 24.
So, for me personally, I would say I would prefer that it wasn't an 8-foot ceiling, because then it could be habitable. I mean, if it was a lower ceiling, then odds of somebody living up there, unless they're my size, would probably be, not very good.
Right, but,
I mean, I know you said they have a lot of stuff to store, but 8-foot ceilings,
mhm.
I mean, for a second floor, that's pretty big.
I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, to have an 8-foot ceiling, it just provides, more value for the customer. It's not gonna dwarf anything around it, and it's gonna fit right in, and like I said, even be a little bit lower as far as the roof line goes, so.
It's not about the roof line, it's about eventually someone moving up there and being rented out, is my
Oh, well,
concern
that
always.
won't happen. If you guys want them to sign something for that, I mean, it's not.
It's not so much them, it's if they ever sell, then what about the next people after them and the next people after them? And then eventually we have all these houses on Anchor Bay Drive that have 8-foot ceilings and people renting them out, you know what I mean? I know what you're saying, and I'm sure she's not intending on having someone live there, but I would love an 8-foot ceiling in my garage too, and I don't have it. So I'm thinking if we can compromise one way or the other, what's the compromise? Can we maybe adjust the ceiling, do things like that?
You mean 7'9"? Or 7 foot?
What's the-
11, 7 foot
6'11" is.
6'11", that's
Oh,
what I thought.
6'11"?
I didn't
Yeah.
think it was 7 something.
Yeah, we really didn't hear a good justification for the 8-foot.
It's just that they have storage.
Yeah, just storage. Like, before we've heard woodworking, other things like that.
I mean, it's possible they would do home offices up there, like, because they both work at home eventually, so they might do home offices.
Is there a proposed, like, balcony or
No.
anything up there?
No,
So it'll be heated and air conditioned?
no. Not till the next permit if they do home offices. I just don't want to get a frame up that's not, suitable for use too in the future. Right now, it's going to be used just for storage, but,
Yeah, that's, you said storage, now you're changing everything.
Well, I mean, when you have an 8-foot ceiling, like, if you wanted to, is there, like, basically, is there an ordinance if they were to use it? Like, for, say woodworking or a workshop?
No, I'm
or-
just saying.
No, this is
when
for
they-
right now. We're
when they
saying,
Come up
okay,
here.
when you come up and say they're going to use it for storage, they want an 8-foot ceiling, it's 30 by 24. That's a big storage room,
That's nice.
right? It's real nice. I would love to have
That's
it.
what it is going to be used
But
for.
eventually, you're saying maybe they both work at home, so office space, so then there'd be air conditioning and heat up there, and there's a bathroom downstairs, so again, I would lean towards eventually somebody, maybe, visitors sleeping up there, things like that, so I would hesitate with the 8-foot ceiling myself.
Yeah, I don't hear many justification, really. That's a want, not a need. Any situation here. How's the other
Okay.
issues? Thinking we're, got some here.
Well, we got the setback off the street,
That one,
yeah. And then the lot coverage, which I don't have a problem with because that's kind of the way it is over there. And then the mean height,
yeah, so I'm looking
I don't
at
have a problem with any of
the
that.
house, the other house.
right, I know it's, there's so many like that over there. You could see it right there. They don't have like an additional garage either on the other side. There's nothing. It's just house, too. So it's not like they have a garage and a garage. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, like some of them, yeah.
Yeah, like some of them do, so it is going to be used for garage, for the most part, I think, and storage. Because it's not like they even have a shed, right?
We put a temporary one.
Yeah.
And just so that when we rip the boathouse down, we can put the mower and
Right.
stuff in, but it's not
Right.
bolted or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with any of it other than the 8-foot.
Well, in the setback, I kind of think it should be in line with the rest of the houses over there. But what do you think? But, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
say
Angie
your
West,
name.
I'm the homeowner.
State your name and
I just
address.
wanted to talk about the 8-foot.
Say your name and address for
Oh,
the-
Angelica West.
Sue? Okay.
All right. So I wanted to talk about the 8-foot ceilings just for a minute. We would like the opportunity to be able to do that in case we do want to work from home, or we both work from home, in case we want to move offices over there or gym equipment, knowing that we have to pull permits at that point to get all the finishing done, air conditioning, you name it. We do not plan on using it for living space. The reason we have the bathroom on the main floor is so that when we pull the boat in, if someone's got to go, they can go. But I feel strongly that I'd like to have the ability in the future to apply for permits to do that, and you have that opportunity then to say no. But I don't want to limit us now, which would be a huge cost if it did get approved later, to then raise the ceilings and go through that huge construction when we just did the house and now we're doing this, so.
Gary, can I ask you something real quick?
You guys go sit down.
So, with the 8-foot ceilings, I know you were out there and that you talked to Mike. What are your thoughts on that?
It's habitable.
It's not supposed to be habitable, right?
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid,
Right.
Right,
to what it can potentially turn into.
right.
And if we're protecting, the area, the residents, to single-family residential, one dwelling per property, that opens up definitely a can of worms.
I mean, and at 6'7", you'd have a comfortable room at 30 by 24.
For storage.
Yeah, anything
I mean,
under,
even if she wanted to make it an office, is what I'm saying. If they came back, got permits and everything else at 6'7", I mean, that's a decent amount of space for an office or two desks and
where
whatever
we
else.
get the height is in our Michigan State Code. And, the definition of what is a habitable space comes at 7 foot. So at a 7-foot minimum height, it can be habitable. Anything under that, it can't be, which, helps in deterring or not allowing it to turn into something habitable if it's under 7. And I think that's a stretch when we talk about attic spaces, when we talk about, what is the definition of an attic, and what is the height of an attic. If you Google that, it's all over the place. I've taken it one step further and saying, okay, we have an ordinance that says 1 story. So what constitutes 2-story? Well, that's a 7-foot ceiling. Once a space becomes 7 foot or higher, then it's a story. So then that's 2 stories on an accessory structure. And that's why we try to say, build it under 7, 6'10", 6'11", then that gives us some leverage for anyone in the future looking to convert that into a living space because it doesn't meet the minimum standards of the code.
Thank you, Gary.
Do you have any questions? Any questions for them?
No, I think we're,
You guys
you guys are ready.
motion? And you can't? So we're not quite sure what the setback would be to be in line with the rest of the structures, right? But if you said, what is that called when they all have to be in line?
It's about 2'6"
Difference,
different right now.
right?
So that would be a big, blow to the depth.
But you're gonna be making it deeper, right? And you're making it wider, and you're doing 2 stories.
No, we're actually making everything smaller
More
than
narrow.
the original one.
Oh, okay.
But you are making it deeper, yes? On the canal
No.
side?
No. We're actually making it smaller.
No, I'm sorry. So you're making it longer for the boat, right? That was the whole purpose of the length of it? Right. That's what I meant to say, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, the length.
Yep.
Okay. So can you still accomplish that if you didn't have the setback so far?
We maybe have a foot to spare.
Adjust? So there won't be any room between the trailer and a walkway, I think is the issue, right?
Yeah, and the other thing I want to bring up though too is the structure right to the left, it cantilevers out 2 feet too. So in that picture,
Okay.
so our gable would be almost in line with that, so.
This one.
It jets out because the top of the trying to be within the foot of setback from the street. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just give us a few minutes, we have to fill out forms, right? So,
Okay.
bring that again.
After you make your motion. Are you making a motion? Yeah. Oh. You want that?
Oh, you know,
You have theirs?
That's what I was asking you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You need their form they filled out. Oh, you want their form? That's
Yeah, I
theirs.
don't have
There
it.
it is. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I think what's happening is they want some, like, patio area in the back, right? In the back?
Mike, you're shrinking the back walkway, right?
Yeah. No,
He's making it
the
bigger.
back walkway is actually getting
Bigger.
a little bit bigger, so
Right.
there's more room to walk.
Okay, I
by the
misunderstood,
boat.
sorry.
Yeah. That's
Makes
why,
sense.
that's why getting it as close to the street as possible, right? So you can have that big
In the boat
walkway.
trailer.
Bigger, I mean, it's not huge.
Well,
Right.
for Anchor Bay standards.
this is the difference. Yeah.
Um,
All right, so, it's gonna be a little bit clunky because you have four things on the table here, so bear with me, okay? So, your practical difficulty is your lot size, and obviously Anchor Bay being just so all over the place, right? So, I'm gonna make a motion that, we approve the setback, the exceeding of the lot coverage, and the maximum mean height, with the exception that you keep the second floor ceiling at 6'11" or lower. The unique situation is,
Small lot size. yeah.
yep, small lot size, excuse me, the east side of Anchor Bay Drive is stretch, I'll just read Mike's notes. And they didn't self-create it. It's been that way since the road was installed, clearly. And the substantial justice, if you want, you can just take it right off of here. It's impossible to fit the ordinance into every house on that street, so.
Right. Okay, that makes
Okay.
a reason for decision, but the reason for your decision is you don't want the upstairs to be habitable.
Correct.
Right.
We
And it's in
didn't,
line with all of
Oh,
the
we
other.
didn't really show any
Right, okay,
practical difficulty for the,
right, right. Okay,
except for storage.
so, anybody second?
One second.
I can second.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve the 3 out of the 4 ordinances, variances, and not approving the 8-foot height on the second floor.
Okay.
And we can roll call on that when you get a chance.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the motion to approve should be one motion, and the motion to deny should be a separate motion.
You can only approve all of them or none?
No, you can approve three of them, but the motion to approve the three of them should be one motion, and the motion to deny the other one should be a separate motion, just so the record is very clear as to why you're denying it.
On the same sheet, or?
On the same
On the
sheet?
same sheet, or make another sheet?
She doesn't care about the sheet.
Okay.
Okay, so
All
I'll
right,
make a
we're-
motion to approve the first three items as noted on the variance request,
Okay, and then
and then,
we'll get that one done here.
And then
I second.
Okay, roll call on that.
Ryan Treppa is not here. Margie Ferris, you said, what was the motion to approve?
the
Yes,
first three items as
Yes.
requested.
Carla,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
okay, Bonnie is not here.
Okay, we've got approval on the 3 of the variances, and we'll complete the paperwork on that one.
Okay, and then I make a
And then
motion to deny the second floor 8-foot request and to keep it at 6'11" or below that.
Do we have a second?
I can second it. I can second that.
Okay. Roll call on that.
Okay, Brian is not here. Margie Ferris, yes. Carla,
Yes?
Joe,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
okay, and Bonnie is not here.
Okay, that's all on that one. Give us a minute to complete some of this paperwork. And we'll get on to the next one here.
Thank you.
So we approved 30%. And 15-foot mean height. We approved. Okay.
All right. Second item on new business is JZBA 2024-009-7206 Bluebird Road. Is anybody here for that? Come up, say your name and address.
Name's Kip Gorinsky, live at 9542 Amy Road, Algonac.
You the contractor?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and give us a little description of what you're looking for, a variance, and then we'll
Okay,
stop.
looking to add a balcony to the back of the house I'm currently building. It's been in the original plans, and going into the setback with the post to support it would greatly, make it easier to build both, long-term not having to worry about anything cantilevering out. I want to do it with minimum posts to have minimum obstructions by using, LVLs, the long span between the posts, because I'd like it to come all the way across the back of the house. It'd be, greatly useful, and I think it'd really dress up the back of the house on the canal side as well.
And it's not going to be enclosed in?
I don't plan on ever closing it in, no.
Okay.
I feel the house was designed kind of, with a large first floor garage. It's almost, I kind of designed it as it's a ranch with a basement, just the basement happens to be the first floor.
And how wide is that?
The balcony,
5 feet.
Yeah,
I'd like to go out as far as 6 feet.
okay.
The posts themselves don't have to be all the way out at 6 feet. I think they could be as little as 4 feet. 5 might be ideal.
So the 2 posts?
There'd be multiple posts, 5 to 6.
5 or 6, okay. So the posts is the variance, right?
Yeah, put those past that rear setback. The house is at about the rear setback or within a few inches.
All right, well, you could sit down for a second. I'll open up public comment here. Okay, for 7206 Bluebird Road, is there anybody here, public comment on this variance?
Bluebell, yeah.
7206 Bluebell Road? I thought it was the Bird Lanes or whatever. Okay, nope, anybody here from the public could discuss on that? So, looks like not, so I'm going to close public comment on 7206 Bluebell Road. So, Gary, you want to come up and just talk about, because we've had this before on these posts, right?
Yeah, this is similar to others that have come before this board. They are asking for a second-story balcony. The only obstruction really is going to be the post within the unobstructed yard space. As far as the balcony itself, because of the height of it, doesn't really cause any obstruction of sight. But with a 55-foot rear yard setback that they have in this neighborhood, it's a modest-sized home. It's not a huge home, and he is right to the setbacks front and back with no room for any extension out of there. So we have approved this in the past. Like I say, second floor balcony, the obstruction is simply the posts that support the balcony.
And not enclose it in the future?
Yeah, it's second story balcony, so it's not like it's down on the base floor where it could be enclosed. It really doesn't, it wouldn't work in this particular
Okay,
situation.
wouldn't work with this one.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Do you have anything else for other questions?
Good.
So you think 5 or 6, or?
A 6 foot by 48, right?
Balcony, yes.
Okay.
But the post would be at 5 feet.
Yeah, I'll keep them within the 5 foot.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Wait. Due to the excessive easements in that area and that you're keeping it open, it's not going to be obstructing anybody's view, so I'm going to make a motion to approve your balcony.
And I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, let's, we've got a motion on the table to approve the obstructed balcony with the posts. Roll call.
Brian is not here. Margie Ferris, yes. Carla?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And Bonnie is not here. So,
You're all set?
Okay, thank you so much.
Just give us a few minutes to fill out
Congratulations.
some paperwork.
Yeah,
let me just
Thank
fill out
you.
this paperwork.
mean, you guys can.
Oh, you guys can go if you need to, I'm sorry. We just have to fill out our paperwork on this side. Have a good night.
Just the post, just the
Should we
post.
second that, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Excessive easement can have, so reason for decision is just that it's,
Yeah, it's just,
It's
say
just-
it's balcony,
upstairs balcony.
it's only the post,
Yeah, it's not the balcony, so.
Yeah.
not to be enclosed.
Reasons for decision is that it's not enclosed and it's land, lake property, and it's just excessive easement.
All right. I'll work on that paperwork, we'll get going on, JZBA 2024-010, 2742 Cottage Lane. Anybody here for that? Okay. State your name and address.
Yes, Eric Heider, 44045 Gratiot, representing the owners of the property. I'm the architect. We are proposing a one-car standard detached garage in the front of the property. They were asking for the front yard setback because we have existing conditions where, it's a narrow lot. The cottage has been there for quite a long time. It's only 31 feet from the front property. We can't attach it because it would be the same thing by asking for the same front yard setback. We can't put it on sides because there's only 10 feet on each side, and we can't put it on the back of the property because it's a septic field. And then we're on the canal. So it's a standard 16 by 20. So it's a one-car. The height is
Hold on a
lower than the
second.
house.
Hold on a second, we'll open up for public comment.
So,
Is anybody here for 2742 Cottage Lane from the public to discuss this? Like it?
Okay.
Okay, we'll close public comment on 2742 Cottage Lane.
Want to talk to Gary about it? Do we need to talk to Gary? I just want to know, how far off the street is it? Because when I was over there, man, is that tight.
it is. It's 5 feet from the,
Is it about as close to where that shed is? Did
we're
they correct
removing
me?
the shed, and it's going to be relatively in the same area of the shed.
Okay.
Which
My
way-
own-
It's actually, I think, 2 feet closer than the shed. So we're
You mean
5
2
feet from our
feet?
front yard.
2 feet closer
Front,
to the
Actually,
house?
no, closer to Cottage Lane. So we're going to be 10 feet from the house, 5 feet
Right.
from the property, and that's why we're asking for the 15-foot front yard setback.
Okay.
Is it going to be level with Cottage Lane? Are you going to bring all that up?
A little bit, yeah, with
Huh?
gravel. Are you talking about the gravel?
No, I mean, it looks like it dips in.
Well, yeah, we're going to fill that in, so it's even more with the gravel, so you can kind of pull in. And it's a side-turn garage, so that's why we're going 20 feet
So
wide.
it's a side turn,
Yeah.
right? I was worried about that.
Because if you want 20 feet, then it'd be attached to the house, and then it would kind of block
Well-
the entire house. We don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Because with the deck, the front yard deck, and it's been renovated. We put an addition on the back years ago, on the previous owner, so.
Gary, you want to come up? We haven't had any discussion about Cottage Lane. Or maybe, I know it's very normal out there.
Yeah, if you've been out there to see it, there's two properties right next to each other that have these small sheds that are right out at the roadway. I don't know what you can store in something that small, but whether or not they utilize this for actual vehicle, I'm unclear on that. But But yeah, there's just no other place to put anything here. Everything is pretty consistent with what's there now. They're just looking to increase it. Because of the size of it, because of the fire codes and the requirement for 10-foot clearance between buildings, the only option they have would be to attach it to increase that front yard setback. But within doing so, just the size of this would definitely cover more than half the house, which I don't know if that's really desirable for the cottage.
Yeah. Yeah, the septic's in front. It's about
It's in the back.
Riverside. Back, right? Back.
Yes. Yep.
It's,
You doing it, Amy?
I'll make a motion to approve as requested for the garage on Cottage Lane based off of the unique situation that is listed. There's not much room. The septic is in the back. There's no way to put a garage back there without, doing something that would cause some serious damage. So the practical difficulty is there. It was not self-created, and there is definitely substantial justice on this property. And
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the variance on
actually,
2742 Cottage Lane. Roll call.
Okay. Brian is not here. Margie Ferris, yes. Carla?
yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And Shivani is not here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll work on this paperwork.
Done.
Okay. And I think that's all for new business. So everybody must be here for unfinished business.
Okay.
Okay, so unfinished business is ZBA 2024-002, applicant of 8101 Macomb Road.
Good evening to the board. My name is Larry Opaleski, and as you all know, I represent the applicant American Tower. Nice to be back in front of you all again. As you'll know, this is a continuation of when we met back in April, had a rather lengthy and vigorous discussion of this project at that time. Since then, there's been a couple new developments. You'll know we moved it away from the residence to the north, so we no longer need a setback from that. In fact, the only setback that we now need is to the vacant parcel from the south. That parcel is owned by the same person who owns the parcel that we are on, so there's obviously no objection from that parcel.
Is there objection? No objection filed,
I'm sorry?
written?
It's the same
I
owner.
mean, you
of
have the documentation.
No, it's the same owner of the lot that they're building
Yeah.
the tower on.
I would be greatly shocked if he filed an objection
Okay.
to that, but in any event, yeah, so we did move it. We understand what the neighbors were saying previously, so in order to accommodate that, at great expense to American Tower, it has been moved. However, we cannot move it off the existing location because, again, as we described in great detail last time, it does need to be within that same area in order to continue providing cell coverage to Clay Township residents. We have provided documentation regarding our search for other properties. We've provided additional expert documentation regarding the need for the height and for the location, again, on this parcel. You'll probably recall that last time we had 3 different expert engineers travel here and testify regarding the need for these variances. We've submitted an engineered fall zone letter, which indicates that in the extremely unlikely event this was to fall, it would fall straight down onto itself. So there's no issue at that point. And again, we've submitted documentation why this is the only viable site that we had in the area. Again, this is not anything of an increase from what is already existing in the area. There's already a 250-foot tower there that was approved previously by the township and has been providing service. We're simply looking to continue that service to the residents. I assume you'll probably have more questions for me after public comment, so would you like me to take a seat at this point, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
The setback.
So it's, right now it's, they're only approved to do 150. You mean the existing one? They have to move it. The DNR doesn't move it on the property. That's why.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
there is a public hearing that's being held tonight with respect to the setback to the property to the south. The public hearing on the height was closed, but this setback is a new setback, so it's a new public hearing.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Or 8101 Combe Road. First off, anybody want to come up first?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
My name's Lance Surtee, 7069 Angling Road, Carterville Township. This would be directly behind my house. We've been through all kinds of meetings. The work for this whole tower thing was started way before any of the zoning was changed or anything else. Everything was already done ahead of time. All the infrastructure was put in the ground, and I just don't quite understand. This was all started back in October of last year. And we kind of went through the Planning Commission, and our Planning Commission actually denied it from going from RS1 to light industrial because it was considered spot zoning at the time. Then all of a sudden, it went to planning, Metro Planning, and they passed it up at Metro Planning and said that that's not really spot zoning. When you take a light industrial part and put it right in the middle of residential, how is that not spot zoning? I'm on a planning commission, and I kind of know what's going on. There were other sites that are available, and they still are available. So the fact of it not being available spot-wise has been a bunch of lies. Semco, which owns property on the corner of Angling and Starville, which is just, if you were to shoot through the woods, is right there. So the distance isn't really any different from where it's going to be proposed at this point. There were actually 3 different sites that Semco actually proposed to American Tower. And the site that the tower now sits on was owned by Mr. Vistason's father, who passed away. And I don't know all the stipulations because I can't get a straight answer out of anybody. But the only thing I can see is the transfer of the property that it sits on. It sits on a 40 by 40 parcel where it sits right now. That's the only difference. These 2 pieces of property that are behind me are owned by Scott Vistason, which is just part of the family. And I can understand that he wants to keep the money that would be paid monthly for the tower at that point in time. And that's probably the reason why they didn't go to Semco, is because probably Semco might have been a little bit more. But it could have been put on the other parcels, and it wouldn't have been detriment to anybody. It'd be out in the middle of nowhere, just like it is now on the DNR property. So but we've never been given an actual straight answer from the get-go. And the parcel that is where the tower is at now, Metro Planning can put it down as being agricultural, which is incorrect. That is still RS1, that is over there, even for that tower that's there. And there is never, ever a guarantee on a fall zone. I've talked to quite a few tower people, and you can engineer anything, but until you cut it loose at the bottom and let it go, there ain't nothing going to guarantee where it's going to go. So I would like to see you guys deny this. Thank you.
Okay, next person. Public comment?
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Erickson. I did submit a letter on behalf of my client, Mr. Andre Napaw. I hope that made it into the packet ahead of time. He is the property owner to the north. I do recognize, as Counsel for American Tower has indicated, that since April, when I was here the last time, the tower has moved away from my client's property, but there are still some concerns that we share. I just want to mention a few things this evening. First off, there's been a lot of discussion of expert testimony and things of that nature in terms of whether this is needed in this location, whether there's other viable sites, things of that nature. The zoning ordinance actually allows for the township to hire someone, their own engineer, to essentially verify that information. I personally think that'd be a great step for the township to take. I think that it would be, it would make, the record clearer. I think it would probably answer a lot of unanswered questions that have been presented to the board. And I think that if the zoning ordinance allows for it, why not take advantage of it? I also did want to mention that my client had an appraisal done of his property following the April meeting, and I do have a copy to submit into the record, and that that appraisal reflected that the presence of the cell tower would result in approximately a $50,000 hit to the value of his property. I do recognize that this was done based on the previous location. However, that is a good chunk of change that my client is possibly facing with just the presence of that cell tower there. I also just want to mention that obviously the property owner to the south that is dealing with the reduced setback is the same owner. That is not always going to be the case. So I do think that it's important for the board to consider that the presence of it now may not be objected to, may not thwart future development on that property, but it's still a RS1 zone property, and I'm not quite sure that many people would purchase that property subject to a cell tower being 65 feet away. So those are just some concerns that I share in addition to everything that I mentioned in my letter. I don't want to reiterate that into the record, but those are the concerns, and based on my arguments in my letter and also just the concerns that I'm voicing tonight, I just don't think that the applicant has met the standards for the variances to be granted. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else next?
Hi, my name's Denise Napow. I'm at 7995 Macomb Road. Alyssa is representing us. I just wanted to get up here and say, we're here again. They're here with their lawyers. We're here with our lawyers because we do really feel very strongly about this going on. I'm your neighbor. I'm a human. We have kids at home. We moved here not long ago, 3 years ago, because we do love this city. We do love the quiet. We do love the scenery. And this is completely just taking that to a whole new level. We're trying to protect the charm that we have there now. And like our neighbor said, there are many unanswered questions still. There are other sites that were available that aren't in a residential area. So I don't want to take up time. I'm just here to say that I'm your neighbor, and it's really affecting us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person? Anybody? Okay, I think I'll base that on closing public comment
Yeah.
for today on these two variances. Can you come back up here and,
Would you like me to address the public comments, or do you have other questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes.
But it's based off of Lance Surtees' comments. So the 3 different Semco sites for the tower, were those ever visited, checked out, anything?
Yeah, as I'm sure you've seen in our packet, we did address those in the letter that we sent explaining our efforts to find another site. At least one of those sites was outside the search zone. It was not close enough to still provide the same cell coverage for the customers. And then the other, let's see, I can pull that up actually. I've heard that said a number of times. I've never seen any actual evidence submitted of that. We did, if there was an easier site to go to, I can guarantee you we would have gone to that, so we're not having to, continue to take up your time with all these meetings and applications.
I don't know that's necessarily easier. I think it maybe is more friendly and just easier on everybody here to say, all right, well, we'll take the Semco property instead of putting it in a backyard.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, and certainly everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm just saying there's no, zoning decisions have to be made on evidence, right? And we've submitted pretty much a mountain of evidence here on this, and I haven't seen any actual evidence submitted by objectors. I've heard opinions and I've heard speculation, and again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I respect that. But when we're looking at the evidence, we've provided, again, this document here, which is Exhibit 1 to our letter, talks about everybody that we reached out to and all the sites that we looked at to potentially recite this. And it does mention the Semco sites and why those were not able to be used.
And then I have another question, which I don't even know, honestly, because I don't know much about insurance and towers and things like that. So what if, God forbid, it did fall and it didn't basically implode on itself, as it's stated? What happens in the event that it destroys somebody's home or anything else? What's that?
Can it reach to, I don't think it can reach to any.
It's impossible. It would have to get literally picked up and then dropped on someone's
So if there's a tornado,
house.
I mean, I've seen trees picked up and garages picked up and things like
Sure.
that. So I'm just trying to be as far-fetched as I can right now.
Mhm.
If there's a tornado and that thing gets picked up and it drops and destroys one of their homes or God forbid, hurts somebody, then what is the insurance on that? What type of insurance is carried? Is there insurance carried? I mean, I don't know, so that's why I'm asking.
Right, and I will say we still need to go to site plan after this, so this is not the final ruling on this. And I believe, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe the township will require insurance when we get to the site plan phase.
I believe they require insurance and security.
Yeah, and this will be insured. I know that for a fact. I don't have the insurance policy up here with me. It was not asked for. It's not part of the variance factors, but it's a fair question. And when we get to the site plan phase, I'm sure we'll provide all that documentation and more when that's asked for.
the Semco sites, I see you got a lot of RF studies here from your engineer?
Yes, sir.
Were there studies from the RF studies at those sites? Or was it not far along to have him involved?
So
You say it didn't meet, but I don't see
Right.
which
I'm not
slide
aware-
says that.
Right, I'm not aware of any actual, like the coverage maps we provided for this site, what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get far enough along on those other sites because they weren't in the acceptable range and they weren't available to us.
Weren't available how?
They're either not available from a zoning perspective, they're not made available in terms of, the particulars of, You know what, I'm just going to pull the letter back out so that way I'm not speaking out of turn here.
Yeah, you're probably more familiar with all the letters, and we're all...
What's that?
Go ahead and find the letter.
Yeah.
And let me know which page that's...
All right, so yeah, at least one of them was far outside the range that we need to keep providing service. Other ones were within, let's see here. All right, and it looks like a lot of these other ones, well, there's not actually a lot, but the other ones would have presented similar issues in terms of zonings, setbacks, and things of that nature. And I would say, too, that this parcel that we're on has already been rezoned to I-1, so this is an as-of-right use. So at this point, we're not really talking about whether there's a tower going to go up here. It's about whether that tower is going to be tall enough to fit the needs of the township residents.
The person you're leasing this from, did you ever talk to him about having him combine those two lots so we don't have to look at this setback variance?
So I am not personally involved with those. That is a different part of the team that works on that. I can tell you that it was not how do I want to say this? We worked really hard to move the location to where it is now, to where it would not be an encroachment upon the setback to the neighbors to the north. We really wanted to get that done because we knew that was important. In terms of where to put it, in terms of relation to the southern parcel, I can tell you that where we have it now is where we were able to get it.
No, I'm saying, if you combine those two lots and made them one, then you wouldn't have a south setback if it was one lot. If the owners of those two lots combined them.
Right. That'd be true.
You never proposed that to the...
Did I personally? No, I don't have...
Is that other lot, like the public comment was, it's still R1? Is that other lot R1?
As far as I know, yes.
Gary or Kristen, what about the public's comment about an independent person to look at all this information? Is that, I know we're just looking at the variances, the two, but,
With respect to having Township hire their own engineer to do an independent investigation, that's certainly an option if you think it's necessary, but you have to remember, you guys don't control the purse strings, the Township Board does. So that would be something you could ask the Township Board to do if you think it's necessary, and if you think that the information that's already been presented to you is not adequate.
okay, I mean, the parcel is not R1, it's an I, and we're just looking at the two variances, right? The height and this.
The height and
That's
this.
65 foot from here, but this guy owns both of them.
So they're not objecting it being close to their property.
And the height is because it's a new tower. Gary, is that what,
They own
where this
both
comes in?
properties, so it's
Because
close to
it's a
them.
new tower, their current tower is 250, right? That's what you were saying.
Yes.
They're not moving it, right? You can't move it. You're-
No,
They're constructing a new one.
We're decommissioning the old one.
That's why it's 100 in the book now.
Yeah, your ordinance provides that new towers can only be 150 feet tall. Our existing is 250, so we're just looking to replace.
So when this previous tower was constructed, do you think this ordinance was still at 100? Or we don't?
150.
Or 150, I mean.
Because that has been there for 20-something years.
Okay, yeah.
So whether or not we had any ordinance in place.
Wonder why we had 100, put 150 in there, when the current one's 250.
Right, I don't know when that 150 was adopted.
Yeah. 'Cause I can't see anything that's 250 now. 250, the new one.
Where are they apart? The old one and where the new one's going to be.
Let's see, I know that's for sure in our submission.
Sure it is.
Don't know if I have it at my fingertips.
Pretty close. You can-
It is quite close, I do know that. I think it's about 1,400 feet north. And again, I don't want to make it sound like the questions that have been asked are not fair questions. The board has been very diligent in its investigation of this issue. Again, but if we're looking at evidence, I mean, there's circuit courts that don't get 3 experts to testify at one single hearing. So, you know, I would submit to the board that there has not been any engineering or expert reports submitted in contradiction to anything that we've submitted. I would say there has certainly been opinions issued, again, which everybody has the right to. But if we're looking at the evidence here, I think the evidence points towards approval, with respect, of course.
I have a question.
Yes.
All right, you said that that old tower was going to be decommissioned.
Yes.
Is it going to be removed?
It'll be gone. It'll be like it was never there.
Okay, and I didn't see it in the packet. Did you have documentation from the DNR saying it had to be moved?
So,
Or that it could no longer be in use there? Because right now, we wouldn't be going through the variance things if it was still there.
right, that would be a whole lot easier on everybody. Again, that's something that I'm not directly involved with. I know that there has been quite a lot of discussion back and forth, and that was pushed very hard for, but they're not interested in really even having the discussion at this point.
Basically, I'm asking the DNR proof, saying that it had to be moved. Did you submit anything to us saying it had to be moved?
No, I don't have a piece of paper from the DNR saying you have to move this tower.
It's already been approved, right, through planning.
No, the township board conditionally rezoned the property
They conditionally rezoned, right,
for this tower to be there.
right.
But the township board did not weigh in on any of the variances. The variances are solely up.
Right, right, that's what.
For the height.
Yeah, the height.
Can we,
And the setback.
can we get the township board to change the zoning on the second property?
They asked for it.
If the sellers would sell. It's a lot of variables.
We're still doing the height
I'm
thing.
assuming the sellers are not selling for a reason.
It just, with the height variance, they wouldn't have to worry about building at 250 feet if they kept the old one. That's what I was getting at with the DNR. If they didn't absolutely say it had to be moved, and they didn't, we have no,
Well, we understand that, but, or we don't, but we're just looking at the 2 variances right now.
right, that's what I'm
right?
talking about, is the 250-foot variance. If they had the old tower there still in commission, because we don't have any proof they said it had to be moved, then we wouldn't have to go and looking at this for a 250 feet variance, which is,
And the 65.
and the 65.
Are you saying you want to see the letter from the DNR
Yes.
saying they want it removed?
Yes, I'd like to see that too, before I would approve,
For what reason?
because,
Mr. Chairman, if this is progressed to the point of board discussion, I would recommend that you close the public hearing.
Okay.
I thought you did that, I'm sorry.
I thought that was closed
Oh.
already.
yeah.
On the tower height one, but not on the setback on the property to the south.
Well, when I call public hearing, I was on both. That's how we usually,
We call public hearing for anything on the agenda for that specific,
If you
excuse
close
me.
it, then I missed it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thought he did, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess, what would that do in response either way?
Because if they didn't have to move that tower, we wouldn't be here trying to approve a variance that we shouldn't have to approve.
Okay. They just don't have the ability to have a 250-foot tower in the setback. So it doesn't, for us, we're not saying they can have it or they can't have it. They're
Right.
here to find out if they can build the taller one
Right.
with a setback.
That's what I'm saying, I don't think I would approve that height without knowing that it was something that had to be. There's typically no substantial justice, I guess. I'm trying to figure out what words I want to use there.
She's trying to justify the reason for moving it. So that's her reasoning for asking for it.
Right.
in writing.
I'm
No,
trying to
I understand.
justify approving that height if it didn't have to be, because it's not, it would be self-created.
So are you thinking that maybe the American Tower is moving it without needing to move it?
Yes.
I mean, it's going to cost over $1 million with everything that's involved to decommission the old one, to get the approvals for this one, and to construct it. I'll swear on a stack of Bibles if you'd like that it's not just for fun that they're moving it. If we could, or if they could keep it there, I promise you they would.
And the height is the same as the current one, so
Right.
just the ordinance is 150, which we're not sure how that got to be 150, but it is. So we have the 100.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
These variance requests are a little bit different than the first three that you heard tonight. Because this one deals in part with the Telecommunications Act. Okay? The Telecommunications Act is very clear that any decision you make must be based on substantial evidence in the record. It can't be just based on somebody saying, I don't want to see an ugly tower. It can't be based on somebody saying, "Yo, I don't want it in my backyard. And it can't be based just on lay opinion. There needs to be something backing it up.
Actual.
Right. Okay? And with this particular one, I would recommend that you take a second and go through each of the 5 factors in your ordinance and identify, why it does meet it or why it doesn't meet it. And if you have questions, even though it may be a little unusual, if you have questions for people that were opposing it, if they have additional documentation, you can certainly ask for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So which one do you want?
Lance, can you come up for 1 second?
Well, I have another question. I mean,
I have a question.
if you would like to table and talk to this gentleman out of Ann Arbor. He's a cellular infrastructure manager there. And he can explain to you all about the Telecommunications Act and everything else and how the cell tower companies are going to try to push you around. That's a bunch of bull. And he can explain it all to you.
So my question is, can you
Yes.
see the current tower?
Barely, yes. From my upstairs window, I can see it.
How about the new tower?
Oh,
It'll be right there?
it'd be from here to that house next door. Just on the other side of Esther Green.
Even with the proposed?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
It's got red flashing lights too, all the time.
And you can see it as well.
I don't want it in my backyard.
Okay.
Very tall.
Anybody else have anything they wanted to add?
I guess, any evidence?
Evidence.
Evidence.
You're not looking for additional public comment, right?
Yes.
You are looking for additional public comment?
Additional public comments or evidence that you might have.
So the reason why they're saying that
We need you to come up and state your name and address.
Andre Napel, 7995 Macomb Road. So the reason they're saying DNR is kicking them off, it's absolute lie. DNR has over 270 towers on their properties. They love towers. They love the money that comes from them. The reason why they need to move it is because they did something when they built that tower that they weren't supposed to. And nobody's talking about it. They're saying, oh, the property owner doesn't want it there, which is the business owner. Why wouldn't you want it there? Because that property, as soon as that tower is taken off, there's absolutely nothing they can do with that property. So ask those questions, because they're not willing to answer.
So, that's kind of vague, I'll say that.
Well-
So, we need to be, when we deny or approve something, as our township attorney has just
Correct.
even stated, it has to be factual. So
Correct.
we need
But
facts.
you, as a board, you need to ask for those. What they provided, that expert testimony, have you guys read the letters that my attorney submitted? Is that expert testimony? Because they brought 3 parties that have vested interest in this tower? You, as a board, can call a specialist that is impartial and answer all those questions. Is that correct?
I mean, we could if the township board approves it. We
Correct.
don't, as she mentioned, we don't write the checks. We're, we just have, we'd
I
have to
understand.
table it again.
I
So,
understand.
um,
But, I mean, you guys have expressed that you don't know much about this. So
I mean,
you need somebody
I'm
that
not a
does
tower
know and
engineer,
that
you're
can
correct.
tell you if what they're saying. Because right now, pretty much, you're just listening to what they have to say and believe it, you know?
I don't know if it's believing or listening. I mean, again,
Correct,
everyone
but they're
has-
saying they provided proof, but they didn't. That's pretty much an opinion that they provided, same as everybody else. They haven't provided proof.
But the township's already rezoned the lot.
I understand, but why? Because the board has denied it. Why? Because the county came with more pressure and said, hey, you have to do it. That's
But
all it
we're
is.
only looking at the 100-foot tower height
Correct.
addition and the 65-foot to a guy that owns his both properties.
Correct.
That's all we're looking at.
I understand.
That's all this board is looking at.
Correct.
It's already been
We're not denying or
decided.
approving it, is what he's saying.
I
can't
understand
do
that. But what is your reasoning for even wanting to approve this? If your ordinance says that it should be 150, obviously the ordinance is much newer than when the previous tower was built, since it wasn't in there before. So that must be a reason for that to be in the ordinance
Well,
over
I see
150
I
feet.
see their RF charts, and you can see the coverage at that height.
Correct, but,
I mean, I don't think-
but where is the proof that moving it
I
a
don't know
mile
about
away is not
moving.
going to be the same?
Like I said, the township's already rezoned this location.
I understand.
All we're looking for is the height, and the RF studies show that they've got coverage.
Correct.
And the other one is the variance of 65 feet, and the guy owns the other part. I don't like it that it's an R1, but I can't, I mean, I'm not going to buy that lot, but that's all we can look at.
There you go.
I don't know, everybody's saying, I thought about having them look at it, but all we are looking at is those 2 variances.
I understand.
Setback and that height, and the tower is already 250.
I'd like to see coverage over at Simcoe. Why can't we see that?
They've already rezoned this. We only have 2, the variance says we want to bring this thing here.
Let me stop you for a second. I think, to be honest, the meeting that you would have been at would have been the township rezoning meeting, as well as.
But that's
Sorry,
the
hon?
thing, that never happened.
It was behind our backs.
We didn't have a say in it. Nobody did.
With all due respect, the planning commission held a public hearing on it, and the township board did their action at a public meeting.
But in which, at that plumbing meeting, the vote was not supposed to be on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, this is not a time for a
Right.
back and forth
Okay.
interrogation.
Correct.
Board of the public. And this is the time for somebody to give you some evidence with respect to their concerns, with respect to the variances.
Okay. I see evidence for the 250 they've submitted RF studies for the 250 height, and the 65 is a,
It's really.
the person has not come here and said he doesn't want it, because he owns both properties. I don't see anything where we can not approve it. The variances of those, that's all we're here is for those two variances.
I get it.
It's
okay.
It's not something that we could have done anything
No,
with.
I understand.
But we understand where you're at too, as far as concerns go. I mean, we all live here, right?
Yeah.
So, we are neighbors, but unfortunately, we're not here to differ back and forth on that. We're here just to, a height variance and a setback on someone's lot who owns the other lot. And they're not here to say, yay or nay.
You making a motion? Okay. All right.
Make a motion to approve as requested on the variance request for the additional height on the tower as well as the setback requested.
And if you would you include in your motion exactly why, and go to the findings?
I don't have them in front of me, so let me have somebody's findings. Sorry, my printer conked out today, so I don't have anything.
Oh, I don't.
If I may,
Yes,
Yeah.
please, and thank you, because I don't have them in front of me.
this is just page, like 7-3 from your ordinance.
Perfect, thank you so much. So based off of 27-3, the variance request is the strict enforcement of the provisions of this ordinance, and it would cause a practical difficulty and deprive the owner of rights enjoyed by all the property owner owning property within the same zoning district. There are conditions and circumstances unique to the property which are not similarly applicable to other properties in the same zoning district. The conditions and circumstances unique to the property were not created by the owner or his predecessor at title within the time following the effective date of the provisions alleged to adversely affect such property. The requested variance will not confer special privileges that are denied other properties similarly situated in the same zoning district. The requested variance will not be contrary to the spirit and intent of this zoning ordinance.
Unfortunately, if I may, it's not enough just to read those in, we have to say how those findings.
Right, so I need our,
Here.
you
You
have
need
it?
that? What are you looking for?
I need, it's in here,
Oh,
their application. I got Margie's copy, hold on one second. I got it right here. 1 second, sorry, guys. No, I agree.
Can we use the evidence in the PowerPoint for the coverage?
I got it right here.
Okay, so I guess,
Whatever was presented, in your opinion, meets those standards.
Yep. So in order to obtain coverage objectives for their clients, American Tower needs to construct a tower 250 feet, which is 100 above what is granted by the code. Due to the topography of the area, including the existing vegetation, the additional 100 feet is critical in order for the antennas to be at a sufficient height to meet their coverage objectives. The tower will need to seek variances of setbacks due to the limited area on the property to site a 250 tower. So the reason the setbacks are being granted is what I just read in the practical difficulty. The unique situation, the height variance is strictly needed for the tower, which itself will be a use categorized as a special exception. No other structures or items on the land will need such a variance. Setbacks variance is also strictly needed for the tower. No other structures or buildings will need such a variance. It is not self-created. The height variance would have been necessary regardless of the location of the tower in Clay Township. A suitable replacement would need to be found within a quarter of a mile of the existing site. All alternative possibilities were exhausted, which are shown in our documentation as well. Due to the parcel sizes and constraints and due to the unique nature of what is being built, as example is the tower, obviously, a variance from setbacks would likely be necessary on an alternate possible if one was available. I'm going to give you all this, so. The substantial justice is there's an existing tower in the area that this site would be replacing. The allowance for the tower would provide the relief sought so that the carriers on the tower do not lose coverage. Regardless of the status of the new tower, the old tower will be removed, so a new tower is critical. And not contrary to the ordinance, American Tower's proposed facility will not disrupt the goal of maintaining the residential character it desires. The proposed site is adjacent to 2 Clay Township residents and has been approved by the owners of the parent parcel where the tower would be located. The proposed tower is unmanned, and a technician will visit the site approximately once a month for routine inspection and maintenance. Further, the tower will not result in noise, excess dust, or noxious fumes. Thus, residents will face little change in their lives aside from the initial construction. I need a second.
And you made the motion to approve. I second the motion.
Okay, we got a motion on the table for the 2 variances. Roll call.
Brian Shepherd is not here. Margie Ferris, yes. Carla?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Sherry?
No.
Bonnie is not here. So, motion.
We have enough in the...
Yep.
I just want to reference that in that guy's letter. Just- Okay, that's,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your comments.
okay, that's old business. And I think, what else is on the agenda? We don't have any report on planning because we don't have a planning representative. Other matters.
Here, it's right here.
Right here. Public comment.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess public comments on anything else.
Are there any other public comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Aye.
Okay. Aye.